2 years ago, House Democrats thought they'd be in power for a generation. Now they're adjusting to their minority status, and they'll be fighting off Republican cuts to everything from energy efficiency programs to low-income legal aid. But do they have an ally in the president? Obama extended the Bush tax cuts. He's going to call himself a fiscal conservative during the State of the Union. This on top of a federal worker pay freeze and a possible rollback of government regulation. Sounds a little like triangulation to me. He may also put forward cuts to Social Security and Medicare. So one question is, can all of these Democrats get along? Obama's rising popularity in the latest polls suggests that maybe a Democratic minority is in his political interest, even if it's not in the best interest of his party. Jane, let me start with you. What do you make of the sort of Democratic internal jockeying, and what's Obama trying to accomplish with the House Democrats tonight?
Well, I can't read his mind, so I don't know what he's trying to accomplish. But I know that they probably will be talking about Social Security. Pollster Celinda Lake recently did polling that showed that the American people overwhelmingly, Republican, Democratic, Independent, Tea Party, it doesn't matter. They do not want cuts in Social Security. And yet the president may be putting those on the table in the State of the Union speech. And pollster Celinda Lake said that, this is a great way for the Democrats to really consolidate their losses that we suffered in the last election, by being the party of cutting Social Security. So I hope that they come to some agreement, because it may be in the president's best interest. He may decide that that's in his best interest, but I don't think there's anybody who could argue that it's in the party's best interest.
Martha, do you see Barack Obama borrowing a page from the triangulation playbook from Clinton back in the mid-90s when he faced a similar situation?
Well, I think he's got to, and it has nothing to do with Republicans. It has to do with independent. Independent voters are who he lost in the last election. Republicans still voted for Republicans and Democrats for Democrats. But the bottom line is there's going to be no such thing as a generational control anymore, because there's too much information out there. You can't hide your losses, so to speak. So I think what's got to happen is they're going to have to figure out a way to get along. But President Obama, make no mistake, he's going to put his own reelection before anything for the party, for the House or the Senate. He wants his own reelection. He doesn't care whether his coattails are long or not. He wants to be reelected.
I tell you, Jane, just with the last word on this for now, Obama, I think of Martha's point that we're seeing a real volatility, that we're seeing parties thrown out and the control thrown out every couple of years, because neither party is finding a way to address the big problems of jobs and the economy in this global era. Doesn't she have a point?
Well, I agree. I actually think that there's a real problem in that there isn't a jobs policy. And you've got the White House, who are now pursuing a Korea NAFTA-style free trade, and they're going to try and go on to Vietnam, who are going to be outsourcing more jobs in order to make the Chamber of Commerce and big business happy. And I think that the American people, particularly in the Midwest, where Obama really needs that sort of middle-class working American support, are going to be really unhappy that this is going to be their agenda. They remember what happened with NAFTA. They know what happened when they lost 46,000 factories and millions of jobs. So I think that's probably going to be his biggest balancing act coming up. How does he keep the Chamber of Commerce and those big multinational corporations on his side, and yet not lose all the voters that will be very unhappy on the right and on the left with a new NAFTA policy?